Okay, we have the procedural suffixes. We have we have 7 procedural suffixes. First one is, procedural suffixes indicate procedural processes or instruments. So these are either processes or instruments. And I see this first one is gram, which is a record or picture. And I know this from, telegram. Here the example is electrocardiogram, which is record of heart's electricity. So I think that should be fine. Next one is graph, which is instrument for recording. You have the electrocardiograph, which is instrument for recording the heart's electrical activity. Graph. I mean, when I think of graph, I think of like the math, and you're graphing stuff. You're recording data points. So maybe that'll be helpful. So that's also an instrument, because graph also does not sound like a process. Next one we have is graphy, which is process of recording. So basically, similar to graph, it's recording, but with the Y now, graphy is a process of recording. So, for example, you have you have this electrocardiograph, but then the example for graphy is electrocardiography, which is the process of recording the heart's electrical activity versus instrument. So as simple as that. Next one we have is meter, which is instrument for measuring. The odometer is an instrument to measure hearing. When I think of meter, I do think of a unit of measurement in math or science. So I think the meter, it's an instrument. And the next one we have here is metry, which is the process of measuring, which goes hand in hand again with meter. So we have the gram, which is separate from the graphy, metry, which is process of measuring. And the next one we have is scope and scopy or scopy. Scope is an instrument for viewing, like the telescope, microscope. These are all instruments for viewing, but the scopy is process of visually examining, which could be, in this example it gives, is gastroscopy, which is the process of visually examining the stomach. So I guess these procedural suffixes are pretty self-explanatory. There's basically 3 pairs and 1 singular. The singular is gram, and then we have the graphy, we have the meter, metry, and we have, scope and scopy. Yeah. Okay, and that is it for the procedural suffixes.